and over the impact of the sixth EU-AU summit that is held in Belgium with the attendance of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. We have live with us over the phone is Dr. Mostafa Tammam. He is a professor of economy and political science. Good morning, Dr. Tammam.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
We needed to talk about the sixth summit for the EU and AU that is held in Belgium. It is a strong bridge of communication to African issues, a dialogue at the Brussels summit between one of the two top international communities or top entities, the EU and the AU. If you'd like to elaborate.
Sure. Actually, this is a very important event because it shows that the EU and the European community are giving a lot of weight and importance to Egypt in its role in order to foster the relations, not only between Egypt and the EU, but Egypt and the African continent. And certainly, Egypt will be acting as a moderator between the EU and the African continent in order to promote business and investments and probably relations in various aspects.
Right. There was a strong presence for Egypt in that particular summit, and Egypt, also the president met with the head of the European Commission, and there were talks and agreements and projects for cooperation and all that. So how important is the whole world is regarding Egypt as a gate to the African market and to the African continent in general?
Certainly, as you just mentioned now, this is a very important point. Egypt, as you just mentioned, is the gate to the African continent. And certainly, on the other hand also, President Sisi, while attending this conference, will probably explain to the European community the opportunities of investing in Egypt. What are the available opportunities now in order to invest in Egypt? We have a lot of domains, you see. We have domains in the area of transportation, in the area of industry, in the area of oil and gas. So there are a lot of aspects that probably potential aspects of investments for the European countries here in Egypt. On the other hand, also, this will reflect on the African continent, certainly, as Egypt is considered the main hub in the communication between the European community and the African continent.
Right. This summit in particular reflects how Europe have tackled the COVID in Africa, and the way it has regarded the pandemic throughout the past phase regarding the different strains and the continuation of those variants. So how will that experience or how will that summit add to the experience of tackling the COVID inside Africa, especially collaboration of two unions, the African Union and the European Union?
Certainly, as we all know, that probably Africa, the African continent, was neglected in relation to the combating of the COVID-19. It was mentioned that Al-Ahram that only 11% of the population of the African continent since 2 days ago have been vaccinated. You see, this is not probably it's due to two factors. Probably lack of the medicine, and the other side is lack of communication and showing the importance of taking the vaccine to the African citizens. Probably this is a very important thing. You see, a lot of people are afraid of taking this vaccine. They don't know. They think there are side effects. So probably there should be a communication and explanation about the importance of taking this vaccine in order to prevent the citizens of these countries of getting probably the high rate of disease there will increase in case that no action will be taken in this respect.
During the meeting between the President and the head of the European Commission, she affirmed the eagerness of the Union to be able to establish or develop with cooperation between Egypt on many levels. And she expressed that eagerness. She even started talking about details of that particular cooperation. And of course, the president welcomed, and they started talking into detail of upcoming cooperation on many fields. Of course, the renewable energy was on top of the topics of discussion.
Sure. Well, actually, it's not only the energy problem, you see, and you have the hygiene problem, you see. Where Egypt here will be holding a conference for the change of the atmosphere and the hygiene system. So probably this hygiene factor negatively affects, if you don't take this matter seriously, certainly a lot of countries will be affected. You see, as you see, we have a lot of rains and forests, and you see, and a lot of climate changes within the worldwide. You see, so certainly taking action in order to take measures in order to reduce probably the effect of negative climate issues is very, very important.
There were also topics like, besides, of course, renewable energy. Renewable energy is one of the important preparations for the future in light of the challenges that are set by the climate change. But there were also topics like infrastructure, the green transformation. Those were also very important, and they were set on the table of negotiations between the head of the European Commission and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
Yes, definitely. Certainly, you see, and probably a lot of you are aware that since the president took office, he gave a lot of emphasis to improve the infrastructure of the country. This includes building roads and bridges, and probably elevating the electricity capacity. See, before 7 or 8, 10 years, we had severe electricity shortages. So probably renewable energy will be one of the important projects that will be held here in Egypt. Also, using the nuclear energy, you see, we have the Daba project, which is done in cooperation with Russia, which will have a positive impact on probably the energy situation. So certainly, these two factors are very, very important, developing the infrastructure, because unless you have a proper infrastructure, no investment will be coming into Egypt, you see. So we are giving a lot of emphasis on developing the electricity system, the drainage system, also sewage system. On the other side, as we mentioned, the project related to electricity, and also water, probably resources, you see, because we'll be facing probably a shortage of water resources in the future. So there are a lot of projects in relation to increase the water capacity in Egypt here.
Right, and Egypt have set an excellent example in the past even 3 or 4 years when it comes to establishing one of the strongest and most developed infrastructural projects inside the country. But let us also take a look over the illegal immigration that was also set on the table and took a great deal of their discussion.
This is a very important issue that you have raised now, the illegal immigration. You see, probably Egypt used to be one of the doors that a lot of illegal immigrants used to use to go to Europe or to go to other places. Certainly, cooperation between the Mediterranean countries, certainly, I'm talking about, because all these immigrants usually travel by sea, and they take a lot of risks, you see. So probably there'll be a lot of cooperation in this respect, certainly exchanging information between Mediterranean countries specifically, and European Mediterranean countries and Egypt. This is from our side. On the other side, you see, we have Libya also, which is our partner here, and they are neighbors. A lot of people use Libya as an escape. So probably we should have certain restrictions on the borders between Egypt and Libya in order to eliminate, because a lot of immigrants go not from here, directly from Egypt to the European Mediterranean countries by sea, but they usually go through Libya, passing by and then taking certain boats or certain ways of going there to the European community. Certainly, this would be, we have probably a lot of cooperation between the three countries, as I assume, but Libya is not very stable. But however, we can control our frontiers, our borders, in order to eliminate any illegal immigration.
Right. Related to illegal immigration, the displacement of innocent civilians because of conflicts inside neighboring countries in the Arab region, and Egypt as a safe haven that is completely secure and free of terrorism was also one of the important topics that were was set over the table of negotiations. They also discussed combating terrorism and extremism and taking Egypt as a wonderful, successful experience to take lead.
Certainly, you see, combating terrorism doesn't affect, it's not only in Egypt. The terrorism is found worldwide.
Not in Egypt, but taking Egypt as an example.
Europe. So certainly, the most important thing that we should all probably stress on European countries and Egypt, and even African countries, is exchange of information and having controls on entries. You see, illegal entries. Sometimes there are certain scapegoat places that these terrorists can come from. You see, because our borders, certainly, if you look at our borders with Libya, are very, very large. So certainly there are certain mechanisms, and probably the armed forces are probably doing a very good job in this respect in order to eliminate any terrorists or to deprive any terrorists to cross our borders and coming to Egypt or any other countries, you see, nearby countries, in order to destroy certain places. So certainly the main issue here is to exchange information and put controls on entries, probably not on the official entries. Certainly, terrorists will not be able to go through airports, you see, or through ports, you see,
right.
seaports, but they'll be probably escaping, coming in through the Libyan borders, the big borders, and this certainly is the role of the armed forces, which are doing a very good job in order to control our borders and not allow any terrorists to come into our country.
Exactly, and I was referring for Egypt as a good example, not that there is extremism inside Egypt, but Egypt is a leading example in combating terrorism. On that note, Dr. Mostafa Tammam, Professor of Economy and Political Science, would like to thank you so much. Talking to The Breakfast Show, you have a beautiful day, and with this final item, we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again tomorrow, that's a goodbye.